you. How have you been? How has the new year started for you?
Thank you, Ronald. The new year has what can I say? It started on a roller coaster again because, like I say, this is my final semester at law school. So what that has meant is that I'm going to be on leave. Today is 1st Feb, right? So I'm going to be. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. A little louder would be nice, actually, but I think I can hear you.
Okay. If you can hear me, I'm going to be on leave again from 1st Feb to 30th. To 30th May.
To get the law degree out of the way, I imagine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Super.
Because if I fail one paper and I get below 50 in one paper, it means the degree will be pushed for a year, graduation for a year, LDC for a year, masters for a year. Everything goes all right. So the key issue is I'm going to now dedicate time off and concentrate strictly on studies. But I've set up my systems to allow business to run seamlessly. That's why it's going to be important for us to understand today's topic and how people can organize self. Usually, when I tell people that I'm going to be on leave for 3 months, they're like, is it possible? How can you be away for 3 months? But luckily for us, we shall figure out how to do it today.
Super. We're very excited to have you. And thank you so much for taking off time. Those of you who may not know Newton, Newton is a business coach and an advisor. He has been in this space for quite a while. We have had the privilege of working with Newton at Enterprise Uganda. And many of you may know him from the brand House of Wealth. He's one of the few people who frequently on a number of media houses is helping people be able to start and grow their businesses. Newton, we are very honored to have you here. He's the CEO of House of Wealth and team leader there. And today he has come to share with us on the subject of how to master your game, common mistakes to sidestep in 2024. Newton, we are starting there. And the business community is saying, as I start, how should I reflect? Which things should I look out for? And how can I be able to make this a better business year than 2023? Newton, over to you. We are very honored to have you. Please go ahead and share with us what you have prepared.
All right. Thank you very much. Can we all put number 1 in the chat if you can hear me very well? If you can hear me very well, just type 1 in the chat. You just have to type 1 in the chat if you can hear me very well. I just want to make sure we set sail when we are not missing anything. I do not want you to miss anything. All right. It follows that very many people are hearing me very well. Number 1, I'm going to thank Ronald Mukasa and the whole entire Enterprise Uganda for making sure they organize this series and involve me in particular. Very many people know that having a speaker doesn't come cheap. Having a speaker doesn't come easy. So people know that it's not possible really to just have me speak anyhow. So Enterprise Uganda has organized this for you people. Every time you feel like the country is running out of generous people, think about Enterprise Uganda being generous. I love Enterprise Uganda because in this financial space, Enterprise is my alma mater. Enterprise Uganda is my alma mater. What does that mean? They in very many ways birthed me. They gave me an opportunity. I want to just give you. Some people are saying they're not getting the voice. Is that true? But people were putting in ones for hearing. So I was telling you that if you've been following my story, that after I left the UK and I came to Uganda, the 10th largest company on the London Stock Exchange had given me an interview, and out of the interview, out of 5,000 people, the company wanted around 250 people, which meant like 12 people per division. So 5,000 people applied. 5,000 people applied, and the company wanted 250. And in those 250, they wanted like 12 people per division. 12 people per division. So I passed a very rigorous interview, and they told me that they would give me a job. So I waited for that job after passing the interview. And while I was in Uganda, they told me that they couldn't give me a job. And Enterprise Uganda came through for me. They gave me a job, but when they gave me a job as an IT specialist. I was an information systems specialist. But Enterprise Uganda did not stop there. It trained all of us, and then it also saw that actually I could teach business. I could do business. I was already doing business. And it gave me an opportunity to even switch from IT to entrepreneurship and business advisory. So today, when I'm in this space of talking to people about money, at the back of my mind, I know that I owe a great deal to Enterprise Uganda. So here we are. And today, I'm looking at the topic, very interesting one. Master your business game. Common mistakes to sidestep in 2024. The moment you hear the word master, it means you've already been doing, or you've already started doing, and you're shaking. So when we tell you to master, it means we are going to give you principles such that you look at yourself as someone who has learned, someone who is an authority. We are going to push you to that level. In a way, humbly, I'll try my level best to share with you the little I know, and we will see what we can do. So the moment they tell you master your business game, I found it very important such that the people today who have reached 99 attendees get to know what actually is this thing we call a business. It's really important that we know what really is a business. And I'm not going to define a business. I'm going to give you a description of a business. You know, when we define, we do not want to change the definition. We find ourselves just cramming the definition. But I'm going to describe for you a business such that every time you see something and you try to engage with your description, it's very easy for you to know that either that is a business or not a business. A business, by description, should have these three things. By description, number one, delegation of power. Number two, systemization. Number three, automation. Those are the three things that will show you that you have a business. And I'll explain them. You do not have to worry. Number one is delegation of power. Comes from Latin, delegare, to hand over. Delegation of power. Systemization. and automation. So what do I mean when I say delegation of power? So delegation of power, it means the entity has been started, but the owner will be out of the entity. The owner hands over power to people who call themselves managers, general managers, CEO, accountant, auditor, operations manager, IT. So you delegate, you hand over the power. Now, when you hand over the power, you give the people you've handed over the power to a system. In Uganda, when we talk about a system, people are thinking electricity and cables. But a system is simply a way of doing things. A system is simply a way of doing things. And now, when we hand over power, delegation, and we hand over a way of doing things, we've systemized. The moment the thing grows and grows and grows, we bring in machines to automate. So we delegate, systemize, automate. When you do not have those three, you have not yet set up what we call a business. You can have an enterprise, which is bringing in money. But as long as you see yourself being there without delegating, without handing over power, then it means you have what we call a self-employment entity. You have a job. And it's very easy to know whether you have a job or a business. You just ask yourself, when you are away, do the things go on? If you decide to be away, do operations of that entity go on? So you do not have to worry. Today, I'm going to be speaking to all of us, those who have not reached the business level. I'll be talking to you. Those who are already in the business sense, I'll be talking to you. It's usually good that you know. When you know, you start setting it as a goal to work towards it. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. It might be in the near future or in the longer future. But the idea is to be on the road, to know that that's where you should be going. And I'm going to give you a very good model of a business. All of us here, we are 115. Kindly just type the name of the bank where you put the money in the chat. Just type the name of the bank where you put the money. The name of the bank where you keep your money. So Twaha Equity, Christina Equity, Sam DFCU Primrose, I see Stanbic, I see Equity, I see DTB. Now, I see Centenary. Now, what you will notice that the owners of those banks, you do not know them. You do not have the number of the owner of Standard Chartered Bank. You do not have them on WhatsApp. You do not have them on text messaging, but you still keep there your money. Why? Because the owners of that business entity delegated. They handed over power to people who applied as CEO, to people who applied as finance manager, bank manager, auditor, teller. They handed over power. After handing over power to them, they gave them systems. A system is a way work should be done. So they gave them systems and they told them, if someone is to pick money from here, you have to make sure they sign for it, give you a national ID, and you check to see whether the balance is more, the balance on the account is more than what they want to withdraw. So that's after delegating to them, they systemize. Then they automated by buying them computers, buying them cameras, such that buying them computer systems, such that by just the press of a button, they can know this is the amount we've made, these are the losses we've made today, these are the incoming flows, and all that. So that's how the things have worked. They do not have to be there. Now, why am I bringing this thing? It's because I know that many of you have companies where you're already working, and you might want to set up a side hustle to bring you a side income. So there you will have to do a business where you stay employed, but also you set up your side hustle to run. So when you set up your side hustle, it might be a mobile money, what we call mobile, a mobile money entity. So when you start up a mobile money business, you will hand over power to a girl who will sit in the kiosk. So you've delegated, you've handed over power to the girl. Now you will give the girl a system, how to operate. You can tell her that let people, if someone comes and they want to withdraw 5 million, you do not go beyond 3 million. So people of 5, 4, 3.5, 3.1, do not allow them to transact with you. That's a system. When the cash increases, when people keep on depositing to you and you count the cash and it reaches 2 million, you have to get the cash and deposit it probably in the bank. So you are putting there, when the cash is so much in the safe and it has reached maybe 7 million, remove 5, remain with 2. So you to tell that girl in that kiosk of mobile money that when the money reaches 7 million, remove 7 million, remove the 5 and remain with 2 at any one moment. It means you've set up a system in that kiosk to control the risk of loss. So when the thieves come to steal, they won't find the 5. They will only be able to access the 2. You've set up a system. Then you automate. So you give her these machines where she can be an agency banker. You give her the phones where she can be doing. You can even give her a laptop where she can do these entries. That is a business now. So you can stay employed on this one hand. But this girl in a mobile money kiosk by a roadside is now operating your business. You do not have to be there. So you start looking at the system you gave this girl. You do not have to trust the girl. You only have to trust the system. The business people, we know the rule that we only have to trust the system. The people we put in the system will always be trying to break the system. So we only have to trust the system. So we check. When we told her that when it reaches 7 million, did she bank the 5? If she did not bank the 5, then your system of monitoring is in trouble. Having laid that background, I can now, I think, take you to what I would call the common mistakes which we have to sidestep in 2024. But also it's important, before I take you on the common mistakes to sidestep, to let you know of the pillars on which a business sits. The number 1 pillar is strategy. Strategy. Strategy is the thinking portion of the business. Strategy is the thinking portion of the business. There must be people who think for the business. How do we get it from point A to point B? There must be people, either it is you you and your spouse, you and your partner. You can be alone, or two, or three, or more, but there must be a thinking portion of the business. When you do not have a thinking portion, there is no reason you can start anything in 2024. If you do not have, and what does the thinking portion do? The thinking portion will be able to look at the figures to know that we are declining. What do we do? We have grown big. We need to improve the market. We need to fight the competition. We need to choose this, the thinking portion of a business. So in 2024, you need a thinking portion. Imagine I haven't even told you the common mistakes. We haven't even reached there. I'm just laying the ground for you such that you master. Remember, the key word is master your business game. So by the time we leave, you'll be able to talk to someone who is doing a master's degree in business administration. And you'll be telling him, these are the pillars of a business. And they'll be like, wow, because I'm here to help you master the business game. So strategy. Do not just run the business. Even if it's a business, even if it's a shop and you're self-employed, you need to put aside some time to think. And you look at the figures, you look at the employees, you look at the different things to think. And I told you, there will always be two things: the operations and the strategy. When you open up your shop and people start come and you get things from the shelves and you sell and you're measuring sugar and you're doing all, that's operations. So you need now to sit either at the end of the working day and you say, knowing what I know now, I think customers are buying more sugar than flour. Let me shop, let me purchase more sugar. That is now thinking. You need to sit and say, I've been here for a full year and these are very low sales. I think this is a poor location. That is now thinking. Strategy. How do we move from point A to point B? Strategy. So strategy is the very first pillar. That's why you see all entities without a thinking department, they do not grow, they stagnate. You find someone 10 years after starting up the entity, and they're not going anywhere. Love. They're not going anywhere. 10 years, 15 years. Same small space, same small group of people, same small furniture, same small company car, same small location, same small everything. Whether there is COVID or no COVID, whether there is a boom in the country or no boom in the country, same small everything. It's because they do not have a thinking department to strategize on how to move from here to there. The next pillar is finance. 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 And finance starts with record keeping. If you can't record it, you can't measure it. If you can't measure it, you can't know whether you're progressing or not. Excuse me. Recording. Recording. You must know. Some of you are running business entities, but you do not know the bank balance of your company. But you know that the money has been deposited. You've never heard of anything like bank reconciliation. You do not know that a bank can put the wrong amounts on your account. You have no idea. Such that you need to know that you should reconcile every end of the month. So some of you only wake up and you say, the person who was working as the cashier has not been depositing money. They ran with the money. because you do not have what we call the finance pillar. Or you think opening up shop and sitting in shop and sitting that farm, that is the thing. No idea about a finance department, which requires an accountant, who might be hired or full-time, or a bookkeeper, taking records, finance, the pillar. Marketing. We need a department that can help us be out there, such that they know about us, our products and our services. We are in this to make money, such that they come and pay the finance department, the marketing department. So the marketing department is the one that will be doing that for us. People know about us, then they come and pay. We make sales. It's from sales that we will deduct expenditure and we remain with profit. So if you do not have a marketing department, you are a law firm and all of you are lawyers. No marketing department, you've not yet started the business, and this 2024 will be disaster. You need to know that if you are a law firm, you will need people who will be the marketers, who will be looking out for the business. They can start and say, this week we are going to these banks. This week we are going to these companies, such that they look out for the business. That's the marketing. If you just say, for us, we studied law, and you put on your suits and you wait for the market to do its wonders, the market will do its wonders, and you won't make sales, and you will start struggling with rent and all that. You might be very good lawyers, but you need to think about a marketing department. It might not be even a room. It might be you, the partners, who say that once in a while, we will be looking for clients. The moment you say once in a while, we will be looking for clients, you have a marketing department. On top of that, you might be very good doctors. Don't just say, for us, we are very good gynecologists, and wait for patients who are pregnant or having issues. How are you going to be able to market? The business needs to be known. So marketing department. So I told you strategy, I told you finance, I told you marketing. The fourth pillar is HR. So HR is the fourth pillar. How are you going to manage your employees? Employees can be a disaster. They need to be hired, they need to be fired. They will come saying things like, I need a salary increment, I need a promotion, so-and-so is fighting me, so-and-so is dating me, so-and-so is sexually harassing me. You see, if you do not have an individual or a department to handle employees, you're going to struggle this year and beyond. And I haven't even talked about the mistakes. I'm just giving you the pillars. So you'll need the HR as a pillar, human resource. How do we get in the people? How do we let go of the people? How do we handle their complaints? Remember, our employees are the first customers. They are the internal customers. If they complain about the ways we're running things, then they won't be able to work to serve the external customers. So today, know it, that employees are your first customers. I know very many people who have companies and they're like, abakozi nze tebantabula, nze nkolagana n'abakasitoma beebweru. So you're waiting for external customers. I think it was Richard Branson in his book, Screw It, Let's Do It, who said that once your employees are happy, the customers will be happy. Once your employees are unhappy, there won't be a sale. Once your employees are unhappy, there won't be a sale. And the moment we have no sale, then it means our expenditure will always be greater than the sales, which is loss. We will make net losses. And the final pillar is operations. Operations is the things we do to run the business. So if our company is into making bread, so operations will be the guys who drive the car to take the bread to the market. Operations will be the guys who mix the dough. Operations will be the guys who work on the bread, finish the bread, pack the bread, count the bread, load the bread. Those are operations. Open the stores, close the stores. Those are operations. If our business is a hardware, operations are the guys who open the shop, open the store, carry the cement, load the cement. Operations. So now we are going to go into the mistakes. And I would want you to type 1 if you are understanding up to this level. Just type 1 if you feel you're understanding up to this level. So I've mentioned 5 pillars. If you've been listening very well, I've mentioned 5 pillars. Number 1 was strategy. Number 2 was finance. Number 3 was marketing. Number 4 was HR. Number 5 was operations. 5 pillars. So we are going to discuss. We are going to the common mistakes to sidestep in this 24. So you will notice that I will go to a pillar and I'll tell you a common mistake to avoid. So I've started with, let me start with the strategy pillar. The strategy pillar, the thinking pillar. Now, what is the common mistake that I expect people should avoid in this thinking pillar? In the thinking pillar, the common mistake is rapid scaling without stability. Rapid scaling without first establishing a stable foundation. So you have a business, you've started it, and as it makes some money, you see money always coming in, a thought comes that I should open up another branch. So you open up another branch, just like that. Without even knowing about whether the location will work, whether the customers there want that product or those products. For you are like, as long as I've grown, I have to open up another branch. So you've rapidly scaled without a firm foundation. You will read Matthew 16:18. Matthew 16:18 is a very interesting verse. The reason Matthew 16:18 is a very interesting verse, it's because Jesus mentioned what we should do if we want to build anything. And this is what he said. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the powers of death shall not prevail against it. And the powers of death shall not prevail against it. Usually when I teach and I back up things in the Bible, friends who are Muslims could be like, why don't you use the Quran? But in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which is chapter 5, verse 46 to 48, they are encouraging Muslims to follow the Torah and the Injil, what we call the gospel. So the Quran is encouraging Muslims to follow the Injil, which is the gospel. So this is Matthew. Matthew is a gospel. And Jesus is telling Peter, you are the rock. I will build my church, and the powers of death shall not prevail. Now let's leave the religion, let's leave the verse and the connotations of religion and just pull it out to abstract on the words. So he's saying he will build on the rock such that the powers of death shall not prevail against it. In essence, what Jesus is saying, that if he wants to build his church, he needs a firm foundation, which is a rock, such that the disasters of the future cannot come and hit the church or the building. So a church can be a building. Now in our day-to-day, the church is the business. If your business is not built on a firm foundation, it means the powers of disaster will come and shake your business. So we need to build on a firm foundation. When you're opening up a branch, you need to look whether you have a firm foundation. And what do I mean by a firm foundation? A branch is a kid which is birthed from this business. So you ask yourself, is this business which has given birth to the new branch stable? Is it stable to be able to give birth to a new branch? And it's very easy to know whether it's stable. Look at its financials. Are your creditors happy? What are its cash flows? Are you meeting the demand? Look at the entity which is giving birth to a branch. When you look at the entity which is giving birth to a branch, and you know that for sure, at least this is where it needs to be stable, this is where it needs to be stable, it should be very easy for you to establish another branch. Because when you establish that branch, it is also a baby. It is just starting. It might need salaries from the mother. So you pay it will need rent from the mother, salaries from the mother, licenses and all these things from the mother, marketing fees from the mother. So if the mother is not stable and it gives birth to a baby business, because for you just want to scale, you'll be in trouble. So this year, do not just go on opening branches by just one individual telling you, we do not have your bakery here. One individual tells you we do not know your bread, and you're like, okay, let me come and build a branch of a bakery here. One individual, two individuals, three individuals just tell you, you ask people, do you know about my bread? And they say, we do not know about your bread. You're like, okay, let me bring a bakery. You'll be in trouble. So the thinking portion of your business, make sure you do not rapidly scale without stability. I'll go to the finance department and share a common mistake. And that common mistake is what we call poor financial management. Poor financial management. You see, all decisions, and I learned this while I think I was still even at Enterprise Uganda. Most of us, the things we do are emotional. They're not financial. They are emotional. They have financial implications, yes, but the thinking behind them is not finance. The thinking is emotions. A business has started, a business or entity grows. The owner says, I'm tired of this old car. I'm tired of this old car. I'm tired of walking long distances to work. Let me rent nearer. Let me buy a bigger car. Because they see too much sales. They do not know that after too much sales, you will have to deduct the cost of goods sold and you get gross profit. And after gross profit, you have to deduct operating expenses to see whether you stay with net profit or net loss. So this excitement when we see a lot of money, very many Ugandans, that's when they realize that now my kid should go to an international school. By just looking at the sales, they do not wait for the profit. They just look at the sales and they're like, this kid should not suffer the way I suffered. By the way, that's one of the ways I can know that someone is not financially intelligent. The moment they say that their kids, I want to give my kids a life I never had. Guys, you forgive me. Oh, God. The moment I hear someone says, I want to give my kids a life me I never had. You see, me, I grew up in the village. For us, we used to walk to the well. We used to use taxis. We used to go long distances to school. I do not want my kids to go through this. So you give your kids the easiest of life. Take them to a special school. You get a driver. Take them to school. They do not go to the well. They do not do any chore at home. They do not wash the car. They do not do the dishes. They do not mop the floor. They can't wash their clothes. Now, these are the kids who grow up and they do not know how to do anything. Because the parents think that when the money has increased, they should decide like that. The bad things you went through made you what you are today. The struggles, the hassles that you went through are part and parcel for all purposes and intent. They are the reason you are where you are today. So if you deny your kid the same hassle, you're raising a monster. You're denying him success. You're denying him the vaccination. The hard life, the hardship vaccinated you. You see, in the process of vaccination, they put the disease into your body. They put a copy of disease into your body. What the body does is to realize that the disease has come. So the white blood cells, which are responsible for fighting disease, they go to war immediately. When they are immunizing you from tetanus, they put a copy of tetanus, a copy of measles into the body So the white blood cells, no rest. They get up and fight measles, such that when measles later comes, the real measles, the body is aware. And that's how life should be. You have to let a kid go through the hassles, such that when the life the kid lives brings the hassles, the kid was vaccinated. But you people, when the money increases, you push the kids. You push the kids to now the softer life. And it's poor financial management. I'm going to dwell a lot on poor financial management because while I was at Enterprise Uganda, Mr. Chichi taught me that finance is the blood of the business. And that's where we make the biggest of mistakes. People are constructing homes on meager finances of businesses. And it's not bad to construct a home. And it's not bad to buy a brand new car. It's not even bad to wed. It's not even bad to introduce. It's not bad to do all these things of life. But the question is, have you looked through the finance such that you realize you've done very good financial management? People are saying every rich individual must have debt. Every rich person has a debt. Have you ever seen a rich person without a debt? Show me a rich person without a debt. You show me a person who has gone without a debt. In 2024, you should change that narrative. The rich do not just have debt. The rich leverage debt. And the moment you know that that's what they do with debt, you change the way you think about borrowing. And I'm still discussing finance, financial management, managing finances. So for us, we think that just because a bank can give you a loan, just because a bank can give you a loan, it doesn't mean you need it. Just because you qualify for a loan, it doesn't mean you need it. Just because they have said that there is no security required to acquire the loan, it doesn't mean you need it. Great financial management means you ask yourself. That's why I told you we need a thinking. I started with strategy, and I told you that we need a thinking department. We need a thinking department. The thinking department now will sit and say, we qualify for a loan. Yes. They have called us for this loan. Yes. They have even said they will give it to us in 48 hours. Yes. Do we have the cash flows that will pay off this loan? Those are now the questions. Knowing them, do we have the cash flows that will pay off? Do we already have loans we are servicing such that we are not just bringing in loans for loans' sake? Those are the questions. And if you do not have a department that thinks, I told you a department can be you alone, it can be you with another person, it can be you with a financial advisor, it can be you with a person who mentors you, whom you call your mentor, but you need that thinking in 2024. Some of us have been doing this thinking since 2015, and we know it works. We know it works. So, financial management, the ability to manage the finances. When you look at the stars, I recently talked about a basketball in the hands of LeBron James is worth millions of dollars. A tennis rack in the hands of Novak Djokovic is millions of dollars. So LeBron James and Novak Djokovic know that they will need the basketball or the tennis rack as tools to get the millions of dollars. So I do not want you to just think that when you have a rack, it will also give you millions of dollars. A tennis rack, it will give you millions of dollars. Or a basketball, it will give you millions of dollars. There is something you must do with them, which is called leverage. So the wealth leverage debt. I've been told that there are 10 minutes to go, so I'll just try to wrap this up. The third pillar is marketing. And I told you that under marketing, I want you to do marketing research. Marketing research. So what can I say about marketing research? The fish eat worms. Very many of us do the things we want or love as business owners. It's not about you, it's about them. So think about it. What's your favorite meal? If your favorite meal is chicken, think about it. If you put a piece of chicken on a hook, will you catch any fish? You love chicken, and then you get a piece of chicken and you put it on a hook, you drop into the fish pond. Will you get any fish? Fish eat worms. So you get a worm is what you put on the hook, you throw in the water to entice the fish. So every time you're thinking about your business entity, your customers are the fish. You need to take a lot of time to understand the kind of worms they want. If you've not understood the kind of worms they want, then you will struggle and struggle to look for them, to entice them, to keep them, and the marketing will struggle without sales. I want to use an example on this very case. You remember that Wari Telecom came to Uganda, and Wari Telecom spent a full year without selling a single SIM card. It was trying to understand the fish, which is the people of Uganda. So it tried to understand the people of Uganda, and their research showed them that actually Ugandans, they talk longer on phones. They do not just say, for example, if someone has died, they do not just say, "Hi, Newton, Andrew is dead, come for burial." They do not. They first discuss, how are the kids? How is home? Did you enter that house? Did the divorce go on well? Did that woman leave you? Are they asking for the car? Did they take the house? And then later, finally, they say, by the way, Musoke is dead. Are you coming for burial? It will be far. We will use our car. So when they realize that Ugandans have prolonged conversations, they realize that the worm would be a lot of minutes. And they introduced what they call Pakalast. Go and check how they revolutionized the voice industry. No other company could be able to fight them. They introduced Pakalast. And up to this very day, people still call them free calls, even when they pay for them. So that's what I have to say about the marketing department. Make market research. Take the customers as fish and understand what is their worm. Whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're dealing in a shop, what is that thing people are always asking about? That's what you should give them. You shouldn't start up a salon for salon's sake because you want braids. People might be wanting a certain hairstyle. Look out for that hairstyle. HR, the common mistake under HR is to do with inadequate team building. What I've realized is in Uganda, because we have very many unemployed youth, the employers have chosen employ the unemployed youth with a thought process that because it's cheap labor, it should survive with us. I want to promise you that cheap labor is always very expensive. Get what you call that cheap labor, skill it, motivate it, skill it, motivate it, skill it, motivate it. The moment you do not motivate your employees, they will lose morale. They will go into apathy. Remember, they are human beings. Employees in all these departments keep on asking themselves, are we making money where we are as ourselves? If the answer is no, then they ask themselves, is this company we are in making money? So they start checking the receipts, they start checking the customers, they start checking the finance to see whether the company is making money. The moment they realize that the company makes money and they are the ones who are not making money, then they start coming up with formulas on how to access the money the company is making. So you need a department that thinks through improving the welfare of these employees. You give them bonuses, you train them, you skill them. So there is a book called 0 to 1, which is by Peter Thiel. He said that the most valuable business of the coming decades will be built by entrepreneurs who seek to empower people rather than try to make them obsolete. And I'll finish with the pillar of operations, and under operations, the very last thing I want to talk about is a common mistake I do not want you to, I want you to, I do not want you, I want you to listen to me very well. Please and please, I made this the last piece such that you concentrate on it more. I do not want you to look at it as though it's useless, as though it's weak. In 2024, you cannot ignore regulatory compliance. In 2024, regulatory compliance. We are in a space in this country where companies are just closing without even telling us. And when you check why are they closed, they'll tell you the tax body. The tax body. So if there is anything I would want you to pick from this lesson today, I want you to go back and look through your books and look through your enterprise and look through what you call your business. How compliant are you with taxes? How compliant are you with the use of other people's copyright? You've seen, there is a circulation in the news where the Uganda Registration Service Bureau is combining with police, and they're saying now they are going to be coming to our entities to check for copyright infringement. So how are you organized to be complying with the regulations? At law school, we learn about tax, and I realized that tax is the strongest law. Do not joke with it. And amazingly, very many Ugandans think that they can take on this monster called tax by themselves. They do not have tax auditors, they do not have accountants, they do not have tax lawyers or tax attorneys. If your entity is huge, just know they will come, they will assess. I know the very big entity which has been put on an assessment of 70 billion. That is you gone, everything. If they came and assessed you, will you survive? If they came and assessed you worth and they say you pay us 500 million, 200 million, 3 billion, 5 billion, will you survive? Regulatory compliance. Don't just make sales. Don't just recruit. Don't just be happy that business is booming. How are you organized to handle regulatory compliance issues? So I would like to hand over to Ronald. Ronald, are you there?
All right. Thank you so much, Newton, for that expose on the 5 pillars and the mistakes we can make on each. I hope each of us has picked a thing or two, a number of powerful messages on strategy, on finance, on how to deal with the market, on how to deal with the employees, and that final one on systems, specifically the question about the regulatory compliance. So we have a couple of minutes to just have questions. Lucy says there are so many questions. Lucy, I'll give you an opportunity first to ask a question. Please do put up your hand or put your question in the chat box so that we can be able to get that question through and Newton can respond to those. Andrew, Bwanamaweji, glad to see you, sir. Very important entities like URA, KCCA, NEMA, URSB, NSSF are out now to check on compliance. Yeah, I think that's a powerful point, and getting it right before is always cheaper than attempting to correct it when you are caught on the wrong side of the law. Harriet says, many thanks, Newton, for the very insightful presentation. So, Newton, there are a couple of questions coming through. I'm looking for the hands. If you want to ask, please put up your hand. But Rhoda asks, how do we build business systems? Possibly you would run Rhoda through and share with her how can we be able to build business systems. Kiza says, strategies on coming up with effective research. I think Kiza's question is, I want to kind of research, but research seems like an expensive endeavor. It seems like a big endeavor. What strategies can I use to be able to carry out some research? That is Kiza's question. Osbert asks, Osbert is from PG. What should we do as founders to select the right market agents? You want people to sell your products, but when they go there, they are selling other people's products. They are not representing you right. Osbert's question is, what should we do as founders to select the right market agents? And then Akankwasa says, no, that is not Akankwasa, that is Akatu Kwasa. He says, thank you, Mr. Newton. How can we access tax lawyers? Where do we find people who can help us with the taxes? I think, Newton, this is a question which you are well placed to answer. Where do we find the right people who can help us with taxes? And actually, who are the right people who can help us with taxes? Samuel Oponia says, thank you, Newton, for these insights. I love the finance and HR mistakes as they are practiced by many business owners. Hajati, no, not Hajat. Najat says, hello, Professor Buteraba. How can we work with debt, especially given the manipulative bank loans that we receive? Yes, those are questions. Someone says UNBS is for manufacturers and for importers as one of the regulators. Newton, you will take that round and we possibly will have time for one more round.
All right. Thank you very much, Ronald. So Rhoda is asking, how do we build systems? How do we build systems? Now, one of the ways to build a system for anything is to first understand it. One of the ways to build a system is to first understanding. And one of the very first ways to understand something is to fail in it. That's why for us, when we enter new businesses, we are looking for how to fail in them. Let me give you an example. Between 2007 to 2011, I was into money lending and I completely failed. So having failed, I get to know how now I can set up a system to control the failures. The system comes to mitigate, to minimize the failures. Let me give you an example. People used to come and I would just write an agreement that I've given them money, and they take the money. So I later realized that the agreements which I write as a layman could not serve me in court or anywhere. So the system I put up after that was that if someone were to borrow money, I do not personally engage in writing a loan agreement. I call up a lawyer friend who writes the real agreement, and I promise him 10% on the interest, which I'll charge, 10% on the profit. So that's a system that anyone now who would come in to borrow from me, I do not write the agreement. I just pass it on to my lawyer and I give him the details. This is the name, this is what he does, this is what he's leaving as security, and the lawyer drafts. So I learned that having first failed in it. Let me give you another example. I used to lend on land. And when I could lend on land, I used to have a boy whom I employed to go to see the land. But most of the times, he could not go to see the land. He would just go with the client. They do not reach the land. The client gives him some money, and they return to office. You ask him, have you seen the land? He says yes. But when you go to the actual land, he has not seen the land. So what now happened was that I made losses because you could have a title, but then struggle to find the actual place where the land is. I now built a system around it that when someone goes to the land, you have to do a video conference. You do a video conference when you've reached the land. I see the surrounding. You also shoot a small video, which is 30 seconds. I see the land. Then you send me a Google pin of the land where I see what is on the title. And I also see the surrounding with what you've shown me. But then also, I no longer send the single individual. An individual now goes with the surveyor, because Ugandans can be very, very sharp where they take you on a certain land, which is not on the title. So the very first, the system I put is when the client wanted to borrow, I'll tell them the first thing to borrow, you pay for the surveyor to go and open boundaries. So the surveyor reaches the place, the surveyor opens boundaries, looks for the cornerstones of the land, writes a survey report, shows me a video, sends me a Google pin, and he has gone with now someone. So you see, that is the system. And I think that has come out well. So everything you have failed in business is what you use to develop a system, because a system comes in to mitigate loss. Rhoda, thank you for the question. So Kiza said, what are the strategies on coming up with research? So when we say research, we do not mean going to the lab. Research can be, I think research is the word that is really confusing us or misdirecting us. But research can be as simple as asking the people. You want to start up a supermarket. You come to the trading center. Noting down how many supermarkets or groceries are in that trading center, that's research. You're finding out. You want to start a grocery in that trading center, but how many groceries are there? Are they 5? Are they 2? Are they 10? Are they 7? That is research. Now, going to one of the groceries and just sitting outside to see how many people enter that grocery is also research to know whether it is the most selling grocery in the trading center. waiting to see. For example, you want to start up a hardware and you want to know what are the most sold items. Coming to a shop which is next to a hardware and you sit there for just some time, noting down the hours where the people are there the most, noting down the days where the hardware is being flocked the most, noting down the items which are being loaded on the cars that come the most. You're doing research. So you can ask your way to success. It's not that you're going to find someone, then you give them money, then they do a survey. No, you will do it yourself for the start. So Kiza, I think that answers your question. So Osbert comes and asks, how do we select the correct market agents? I was amazed. You remember when I told you about the 10th largest company on the London Stock Exchange that gave me a job, gave me an interview, and I passed. And they just failed to give me a job because they couldn't find a permit for me. But what I realized is it comes from the recruitment. When you're recruiting agents, recruit on values before skills. I picked that from the UK. Even when I came to Uganda, I saw it when I was being employed by USAID. When the Americans were giving me a job, they were not looking that I had a first class in my master's. They were not even concerned about that. They were looking at the values, integrity, respect, honesty. So you, as the people who own the businesses, you're being impressed by people, by things people are writing on their CVs. People will put anything on the CV. We even have now AI tools that will write a CV. So you people who are recruiting, you're looking at the CV and you're like, hey, you got a D1 in math in P7. You even got it again. You got a D1 again in O level. You got a D1 in English. You also again got a D1 in English in O level. You scored 90 in GP. You're looking at the wrong things. Ask questions. Ask questions. Listen in the interview. One of the greatest hostage negotiator was called Chris Voss. Is called Chris Voss. And I'm an ardent follower of Chris Voss's talks and all that. He says when he's negotiating with hostages, with people who are holding hostage, he was working for the FBI, and he was always negotiating with guys, with the people who hold hostages. And he said, when you ask a question, why people go on the defensive, you need now to start asking the what questions. Instead of asking me, why did you put on a red tie? If you ask me, why did you put on that tie? I will just go on a defensive and I'll be telling you, this is a designer tie. It's designed by Next. I'll go on a defensive. But if you start asking me, what would happen if you also tried a blue tie on the shirt? Then I will explain the difference in colors. So the key issue is ask questions and listen during interviews. In that interview of USAID, I remember someone asking me, tell us a moment where you lied to your bosses and it worked. Those are now psychological questions. Ask your person whom you're trying to recruit as an agent to see whether they are honest. Ask them, tell us a moment. Tell us what you would do if you've run out of our stock, but the customer, let's say we deal in flour. We deal in flour, and our flour is called pembe. But our agents are also selling another company's flour. They are selling, let's say, which flour is there? There is flour by this gentleman. Okay, if I won't find flour, let me use sugar. I'm working for Lugazi Sugar Works, but I know that my marketing agents are selling Kakira sugar. So when I'm recruiting new agents, I can ask that, let's say you supply our sugar, Lugazi sugar, and you run out of stock. The car you went with has run out of stock. But this new customer tells you they really want sugar. What can you do such that you earn some profit from this customer? And you listen. A guy will directly tell you that I will look for any sugar that is around, and I will supply this customer such that we do not lose the customer. The moment someone tells you that they will look for any sugar, they have indirectly told you that at one moment in the field, they are okay to sell another brand. If they were only honest with your brand, they will say, if that particular customer wants more sugar and we've run out of Lugazi sugar, I will call head office, or I will call the distributor, or I will call the branch, or I will start talking to them and tell the driver to come and pick more. Then you will know the level of honesty. Otherwise, it is in the recruitment. So do not play while recruiting individuals, and always prioritize values above skill, because no one can demonstrate their skill during an interview. They will give you the good talk during an interview. During the interview, they will give you the good talk. But it's only later when they are doing things that you'll know, hey, by the way, they are skilled. Hey, by the way, they lack this. So be open-minded that you will train. But these values, honesty, integrity, kindness, respect, have some values which you want to listen to in the interview. Ask the employee, what would you do if your fellow employee slapped you? And they'll tell you, the moment someone slaps me, I slap back. They have, in essence, told you that even though there is a policy about how to handle disputes at the workplace, they do not want to follow the policy. They do not even have any idea that a person who beats you, you can go and sue them for assault and even be compensated. That is a tort for assault and battery. They do not want to know that they say someone beats me, I beat them back. They have told you. Now it's you to interpret. So it's in the recruitment, and we make very many mistakes in the recruitment. For us, someone just calls us, do you have a position for my daughter? The daughter, they denied the hustle. So they bring you the daughter. Then you discover the daughter doesn't come early. The daughter tagabwako. You get to know that. Akankwasa asked, where do you find tax lawyers? Where do you find tax lawyers? You will get my number from, I could give you my WhatsApp, then I'll connect you to the best tax lawyers I know. Currently, one of the best tax lawyers in the country is actually my lecturer. He's working in the oldest firm in this country, the oldest firm, the very first law firm in this country. And he's a great tax individual. I know, because I want also to be a tax lawyer, I know very many tax lawyers. So I'll give you my WhatsApp to connect you to tax lawyers. And I want to tell you, friends, that everything tax, when they give you an assessment and you disagree with the assessment, will end up in court, where the people you have as accountants won't represent you. So you need accountants, but they will go up to a level. So most of us have very big entities, but we have no tax lawyer or tax attorney. But we have the accountants who organize the tax. So the tax, the accountant or the auditor or this individual who is a tax advisor will advise you up to a certain level. Then the lawyer will be doing the interpretations that there we cannot pay that. There we are exempted. That is an exempt. So you will need all of them on your team. So I'll give you my WhatsApp such that you come inbox and I help you. Let me see whether I can write it here in the chat. Let me see whether I can write it in the chat. 0706582 868. That is, so I've put my WhatsApp in the chat. Now, the key issue is if you call that number, it will go directly to my office. But if you send me a WhatsApp, I'll be replying to you. Najat asked that how can we work with debt given the manipulative bank loans? I once did a small ad, and it was showcased on TV. It was a bestseller. I was telling individuals that once you see yourself approaching a financial entity alone, and you're going there for a debt, you've already lost. I said, once you see yourself alone and you're approaching any financial institution for a loan, you've already lost, because the financial institution already has a lawyer to write an agreement in a language only us lawyers understand. That language is called legalese. You will never understand legalese. In Luganda, they say, okusula mugala jite chikufula motoka. So having lawyer friends doesn't mean that you will understand our legal jargon. So you will need a lawyer. The bank already has a lawyer. The bank goes to the insurance company and insures the loan and tells them, we might lend this person and they default on the loan. So you will help us. The bank has a valuer. So the bank has accepted that it doesn't know how to value your property. So when you come with the property, the bank has a valuer. The bank has a financial advisor to tell them that this is the best rate to charge. The bank has an investment advisor to look through your investment portfolio and your business plan to know whether they will make sense or not. A bank has an auctioneer. They have already set up an auctioneer who will help them with disposing of your asset when you default on the loan. The bank has a loans officer to be able to call you and all that. And usually the loans officer, when the loan is just starting, if you're a man, it's usually a beautiful woman. If you're a woman, it's usually a handsome man. So the very first relationship is always rosy. But then they also have that tough loans officer who will make your life really tough if you fail to pay. Now, I do not want you to confuse this conversation that I am against banks. I love banks. I love banking. And I know that actually banks must be tough to protect themselves because it's not their money. People give banks the money. So we cannot be lining up at the ATM to withdraw our money. And the bank comes to tell us, guys, first be kind with us. The money is not there today. Can you come back tomorrow? No one wants that. When we deposit money in the bank, we want to find it. It's on demand. When we demand, they release. They do not give us stories. So the bank, to maintain that level, it must be tough on people. But I've showed you that the bank has all these individuals, from a lawyer to an advisor to a loans officer. The bank has a survey company, a valuing company. So the bank has all these people. But for you, you just walk alone in the bank and you say you want to borrow 200 million. You usually even go there without a pen. So you use the bank's pen. You do not know how to read legal jargon. That's why you usually say, where do I sign? So they flip pages and you put your sign, you put your sign, you put your sign. So later when they tell you that you actually agreed we will sell off this house if you fail to pay, now that's when you run to a lawyer. Bagala kubba nyumba yange. Olaba nti banka nzibi. Bagala kubba bintu byange. But you were supposed to start. You were supposed to start with a lawyer. You were supposed to start with a financial advisor. And I do not want to tell you, I do not want to make you think these people are expensive. You can agree with them. You can agree with them that this is them. You can apportion an amount of money as an expense to safeguard you. Why would you borrow 200 million from a bank when you're not willing to put 5 million in professional consultants? You have a problem. You have a problem. 1% of 500 million is 5 million. 1% of 500 million is 5 million. Why wouldn't you get a lawyer to review for you the 500 million loan? You might find the lawyer is your friend. He might even charge you 1 or 2 million. And that is even still below 1%. But you find people, they got 1 billion shillings without a lawyer, without a financial advisor, without anyone. That's why these things actually fail. In the US or in Europe, people know that banks are strong entities. The game is not even Champions League. Banks are playing the World Cup. You can't start playing Masaza while you're borrowing and you expect to beat them. And I'm not saying Masaza is weak, but I'm looking at the level of accolade, the World Cup. Banks are playing the World Cup game. They are international, they syndicate money and all that. So it's going to be hard for you to just come in. And so when you ask how can we work with the debt, given the bank's manipulative loans, get a financial advisor. The problem we have is in Uganda, when we are borrowing, we start with a lie and we end up with a lie. When we are borrowing, we portray this picture in front of the bank that the business is performing well and it will pay off the loans, which is a lie. Get a financial advisor, get an accountant, get an auditor. Let them look at the books and they tell you that for sure your particular business to survive can pay can release a cash outflow of 4 million or 3 million. If you get a loan where the cash outflow will be 15 million, it will be tough or it will be a disaster. So that's how you have to do things. So I want to hand over back to you, Ronald, because I've finished the set of questions which you sent to me. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Newton. A lot of insights. I know our time is fast spent, but let me just give you a minute to give any final remarks, any closing remarks to the team here, Newton, I'm going to request that you post your WhatsApp line again in the chat box. Actually, let me have George Jr. just help me pick it up and make sure that those who have missed it actually get it. So please reach out to Newton and do follow him on the social media platforms. He's on Facebook. He's on X, formerly Twitter, and follow him on YouTube. Make sure that you kind of follow his page so that you hear more from him. Newton, allow me to take a minute, to just give any final remarks to the team, and then we can be able to wrap up the day.
Hey, thank you. Tell George that my X handle is at Buteraba.
At Buteraba, okay. So
yes. All right. I've seen my friend Emmanuel Safari telling people about insurance. Yes, it's okay. So this is how I want to wrap up, and I'll wrap up with a verse. It's in Luke 17:21. In Luke 17:21, the disciples kept on asking Jesus, "But when is this kingdom of heaven coming? You man, when is this kingdom of heaven coming?" Buteraba, as in Buteraba is Buteraba, as in the real name, not my jargon name. So so the disciples kept on asking Jesus, when is this kingdom of heaven coming? When is this kingdom? And he told them, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So I want to promise the people who are here today that greatness and success for our personal endeavors, for our businesses, are not going to be brought by anybody else. Those things are within us. And how is it going to come about? It's going to come about by our search for knowledge. But remember, knowledge on its own will not help us go forward, because knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. What that means is, until you put into practice what you know as knowledge, that's when it becomes powerful. So we can come here and talk the good talk. It's until you walk the good talk that actually we will know that he implemented, he made a mistake, and he learned. Do not worry, you will make very many mistakes, but at least put into practice. James 1:22. Do not be like a mirror, like a man who sees themselves in a mirror. They see ekijanjalo kumanyo and they say, this mirror is from China. I do not have that thing from the bin. When you see something, work on it. Put into practice the knowledge such that it moves from potential power to actual power. Thank you very much for being great listeners. We will catch up. We will keep in touch. And thank you, Ronald, and the whole entire Enterprise Uganda team, Madam Rosemary, Noah, Mr. Charles Sochichi, George, Uncle George, and then George Jr., Andrew, and the whole entire team. You know, your family. I love you guys, and I would like to congratulate you on being able to educate very many masses, very many people by setting up these things. They are really helpful, and anytime you call me, I'll be able to present. Thank you very much. Over to you, bye.
Super. Thank you so much, Newton. A lovely submission. A number of thank yous in the chat box. Please just give a hand clap to Newton. Thank you for really sharing with us, for opening your heart up to us, and we're excited about the work you're doing, and all the best in the final semester with your exams. We are rooting for you, and we are believing that Council Newton will be the next big thing that happens in your life. A big thank you for our audience.
Ronald.
Yes.
I think I will also encourage people to go to, I'm on TikTok. They should go to Newton Buteraba Answers. They should just go to TikTok and look out for the page,
Newton
Newton
Buteraba
Buteraba
Answers. Just type
yes.
that in the chat box also. Do follow Newton on TikTok, and we did put his Twitter handle in there. And Newton Buteraba Answers, that's the TikTok handle. A big thank you everyone who has joined us. Thank you so much for being here today. We are honored to have you. We'll be back next week with another session on Thursday at 9. Tell a friend, share the link with a friend so that we can keep the knowledge going and learning together. Have a lovely week. I encourage you, if you want to sign up for the entrepreneurship training workshop, one of the premium programs here at Enterprise Uganda, I'm going to request George to post a link to that to the entrepreneurship training workshop. Just go to the link and kind of register. Then if you want to have a business health check, we have someone come and visit your business, talk through what you're doing, kind of challenge you in a very direct manner. A link has been shared. Please do follow the link. You might have a friend who hasn't attended the session, but you would have wanted them to be here. All these sessions are posted on our YouTube page. So just go to the YouTube page and make sure that you get a feel of how that is going. A big thank you. Have a blessed day. Newton, have a blessed day. Thank you so much for taking off the morning. And see you next week on Thursday. I'll hand back to George to say bye to us with some bit of music.